Speaking of the fact that, Ahsoka is continuing, what we first saw in animation. Someone else who I'm going to say is probably a director for the Ahsoka series is Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah,
Bryce Dallas Howard. She was interviewed this week by Romper. This interview just came out today as we're recording this, and or actually no, it came out 2 days ago, but people just noticed it today. As we're recording
that happens.
But this is perhaps like one of the greatest celebrity interviews I've ever read. Let me just read the opening paragraphs of the article on Romper here, just to give you a sense of what this is. This is written by Elizabeth Angel or Angel. I'm not sure. We'll go with Elizabeth Angel. That sounds nice. It says she says here, if you're here for a hard-hitting interview with actor and director Bryce Dallas Howard, well, I'm sorry to tell you that you're in the wrong place. If you're here for chocolate and Star Wars, well then, right this way.
Sign me up.
I love it. And so basically, Elizabeth, who wrote this article, she was at an event with Bryce that was, I guess, an Easter event. So there's lots of chocolate and chocolate bunnies and chocolate eggs and all that stuff. And she had her kids with her. And her kids just started asking Bryce Dallas Howard questions about the Ahsoka series or just about Star Wars in general. And Bryce kind of turned it around on the kid at one point and starts asking this kid, you know who Dave Filoni is, right? And the kid says, yes, of course I know who Dave Filoni is. Good kid. Probably listens to this show. No, I have no idea. But this is what Bryce says. Yeah, so Dave Filoni, he knows Star Wars better than anyone other than George. And he was taught by George when he was doing all of the Clone Wars because they did that together. And we worked together on Mandalorian. The kid says, I love Clone Wars. It's my favorite. Bryce says, without giving anything away, you're going to love the Ahsoka show that's coming up. I cannot tell you anything, but what I can say is that if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, you will be greatly rewarded.
The first thing I think of is just like I'm sad that Filoni wasn't there himself, because that's his greatest fear and greatest weakness is kids asking interview questions about upcoming Star Wars projects. But also, that's a fascinating answer. That is absolutely fascinating. I mean, I guess it's a given at this point. It's an Ahsoka series about a character that primary came from the Clone Wars. Like, I get it, but the fact that she's singling this show out is like, this is going to be, because we've had a lot of good Clone Wars stuff in a lot of stuff that Filoni's been involved with naturally. So, and we're already looking at Obi-Wan Kenobi maybe having some stuff. I'm not banking on it, but I'm hoping. But
Obi-Wan seems to have more Rebels connections at this point.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case, which fair enough. Throw some bones to Rebels fans too. But this feels like, hey, I mean, if they're bringing Hayden in like they're supposed to be, there's a lot of potential there. So a lot of stuff could happen.
I'll tell you, what the first thing that popped into my head was? Captain Rex.
Oh.
The Rex Ahsoka live action meeting / reunion, together again for the first time. Given how involved Tamura Morrison is with Star Wars, he said he's game to play more clones. He said he's game to play Rex. And Bryce is saying, if you're a Clone Wars fan, you're going to enjoy this show. And I feel like the thing that, what's the big thing at this point that could get Clone Wars fans, more hype than they already are? Because, the thing has already happened, right? Ahsoka appeared in live action. I never believed that would happen until a couple of years ago. Until there was that weird Dave Filoni interview where somebody asked him about Ahsoka in live action. He got all cagey. I was like, this is never, ever gonna happen. And then it did. And Bo-Katan showed up, and it was wild. I couldn't believe it. And so I'm like, well, okay, so if that's already happened, what else is there? What else could be out there? And, we've seen clones in live action. We've seen Tem come back, all that stuff. So, those things in and of themselves, at this point, maybe that's not the biggest surprise. But to get a new scene between Rex and Ahsoka, I think would be a huge thing for Clone Wars fans. The final season of Clone Wars, the 7th season, really cemented the fact that that was their show. There were lots of side stories and lots of secondary characters, but even characters like Anakin and Obi-Wan were when you look at the overall arc of the series, were supporting characters in the story of Rex and Ahsoka. And the fact that we got 12 episodes of Clone Wars, 4 of them were about Rex, 4 of them were about Ahsoka, and then 4 of them were about Rex and Ahsoka together.
Yeah.
I feel like cements that. So I feel like if you're going to do something that's kind of the spiritual sequel to Clone Wars in live action, that the thing you do is you put Captain Rex in there, and you have these two characters, share another scene together, and Rex and Ahsoka scenes always have a sort of an extra tinge of emotion ever since Rebels, right? Ever since Clone Wars ended before its time. Anytime you could get the two of them on screen together, they carried a little. There was a little something extra going on in those scenes. In Spark of Rebellion, in Twilight of the or Spark. What was it? The Defeat. What's the one with the Ahsoka? Where's the first Ahsoka episode? The first big one, the 2-parter.
Siege of Lothal.
Siege of Lothal. Yeah. Siege of Lothal to Twilight of the Apprentice. There's a couple of Ahsoka Rex scenes in there, and that they're really meaningful. And then we got the Siege of Mandalore, and there's some really beautiful Rex and Ahsoka stuff in there. And I kind of expect we'll see a Rex and Ahsoka scene at some point in Bad Batch. I feel like that's something that'll happen.
That's something that I'm shocked we haven't gotten it already.
Yeah. It feels it's kind of
that they had. I'll forever respect their restraint for not doing it.
Yeah,
it's a natural choice.
But in terms of just bringing all of that full circle, what could be bigger than saying here's Rex and Ahsoka in live action?
And you got Tim Morrison back. You got a new Ahsoka and Rosario Dawson. Yeah. You've got all the pieces. You've got all the materials to make this happen. And that will be, I think, this would be my only real big disappointment in Book of Boba Fett is that I would have loved to see a little bit more exploration of Boba's clone heritage, and maybe bringing in some other people that Tim Morrison would naturally play, literally any clone. So that's the whole thing that now they can basically in the same era, they can have, I think not using Tim Morrison to the fullest especially at this stage would be a crime.
Yeah.